If you want to survive life and thrive through life, and if you want to survive in business and thrive into business, you need these three things. I'm going to share it with you in a second. But first, I want to give you an example of this thing. And what I shared on stage at the Fit Body Bootcamp World Conference, I think did a great job in terms of framing this entire show today. And that is the orchid versus the weed. So not the weed that you're smoking and puffing on and getting hopped up on. I'm talking about the everyday garden weed versus the beautiful, pretty little orchid. And the example I shared at the event was that, you know, oftentimes you look at the orchid and it's beautiful, it's pretty, you admire it. But if you look at it closely, you realize that they take that orchid, like if you go to a grocery store and buy an orchid because you're going to maybe go to a friend's house or something and you want to take them a little gift, most people will take an orchid, right? Or they'll buy an orchid and set it on their office table. And that orchid, that stem is so long that the orchid is not even strong enough to hold up its own stem. So they put a little stake there and they put little clips and they hold the stem up with little clips along that stake that they put in there, right? That little piece of wood. And yeah, it's pretty, yeah, it's beautiful, but you know, I'm a weirdo, so I decided to do a little research on orchids. Why are they so beautiful and what more can I learn about them? And as it turns out, the freaking orchid is as fragile and delicate as they come. Too much sun, the orchid dies. Too much shade, the orchid dies. Too much water, not enough water, the orchid dies. In fact, you plant the orchid next to any other plants, most other plants, the orchid will die. It's just not a plant that is hardy. It is not anti-fragile. In fact, it is the opposite. It is very fragile and sensitive. Yet we all kind of think about the orchid and we go, it's so beautiful, it's so pretty, and we gift it to others. Then I got to thinking, you know what? If I was going to be a plant, would I want to be an orchid or would I want to be the everyday garden weed? Because you look at the everyday garden weed, man, it grows out of concrete, it grows out of asphalt. I've literally gone to Mammoth Mountain with the kids and we're snowboarding, and then I'll see like a telephone pole in the snow and there's a garden weed growing out of the side of a telephone pole in the snow. Like at home on my pool deck, like in the cracks where the sidewalk connects, they call them joints. In those joints, a lot of weed innuendo in this episode, huh? Joints. Puff Puff Gives, Smokey. By the way, if you know what Puff Puff Gives, Smokey, if you know what movie that's from, let me know in the comments on YouTube. And then let me also know what your favorite scene is from that movie. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but there's a lot of great lines from that movie. Let me know in the comments. While we're at it, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, bro, be a cool cat and subscribe. 74% of you are not subscribed. If you're getting a lot of value from this show, you want to help others by getting the algorithms to push the show out to more eyeballs. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe and then if you would like and comment. Cost you nothing, absolutely free, and it would help everybody out, including the show, right? Anyway, so with that said, I realized very quickly that there was this piece of like this weed growing in between the two slabs of concrete. And when I went to pull it out, it just like easily came out. Like there was no dirt. The fucking thing was growing in a crack. And I'm guessing it was just getting nutrients from the air or something, right? That's how resilient the everyday garden weed is. And so when you think about it, like most people in life, if they want to win in life, they're like, well, everything has to be planned out just right. You know, I have to make sure I got good sleep. I got to make sure my nutrition is dialed in. My training is dialed in. I need a good plan of attack. The economy has to be in my favor. My favorite president has to be sitting in the White House. Everyone in my life has to be compliant and on board with my mission, vision, and values. And then I can go and attack my life's goals. Well, it's rare, very rare in life that all things are in perfect alignment for you, that you're going to be able to go win at life, right? The reality is that that's asking to be an orchid. When everything is perfect in my life, the plan, the people, the timing, the everything, the economy, then I will go execute. If not, sorry, I can't. Like, bro, that's being an orchid, right? Like something goes wrong, the orchid dies, right? I want to be a weed. Ain't got the right president, I'm still making money. I had a double hernia in December, like for 18 months. I was still on stage speaking at events. I was still getting after it and working out. I was still doing jujitsu. True, I was getting pinned a lot easier because when you have two hernias, you get pinned easier because you can't use your abs really or your core for that matter, to do anything functional to be able to get the opposition off of you. But after I got the surgery, I was fucking back at it after a few weeks, right? And I share this with you because in reality, yeah, I want everything to be aligned perfectly in my favor so I could win at life, I could win in business. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to have everything in life planned out exactly as I want to stack the odds in my favor. And that's why we have to think like a weed, that even though the odds are not in my favor, it's cold, it's rainy, there's a lack of money, there's a lack of opportunity, the right person's not in the White House, people aren't rooting for me. In fact, most people think that I'm going to fucking fall flat on my face on this new venture that I'm going to take. I'm still going to fucking attack this as though I'm destined to win. That is what the weed does. The weed's like, I don't give a fuck. There's snow and there's a fucking electrical pole. I'm just going to grow off the side of it. Oh, there's two slabs of concrete. I'm going to grow right out of that fucking joint, right? I've seen weed growing in sand at the fucking desert. Like, it's just amazing how resilient the weed is. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. And so really here, I put up a post on social media and it went viral a few days ago. I'm going to read it to you. Winners are developed when they run out of money, when the odds are stacked against them, and when everyone else counts them out. Winners get resourceful when they run out of resources. Winners are resilient when they're knocked down flat on their back and when most people count them out and give up on them. Winners are relentless in their pursuit of the outcome. They're relentlessly obsessed to win, and they will fight till the end. And when I put this out there and I said, hey, listen, if you want to be a winner in life or in business, be resourceful, be resilient, and be relentless, right? The 3 R's are important. I've learned this in my own personal life when I would want everything to be perfect, because if the perfect plan didn't get executed, I go, see, that's why I failed. And then I was like, now stack the odds against me. Today, stack the odds against me. The fucking pandemic in 2020 stacked the odds against me and my franchise, Fit Body Bootcamp, and we absolutely crushed it. We became the virus that the pandemic was afraid of. COVID-19 was afraid of Bedros Keuilian, because I've decided to flip the switch long ago that no matter the hardship, no matter the adversity, no matter how the odds are stacked against me, when there are no resources, I will get resourceful. And that's thing number 1 I want to teach you. In the absence of resources, you must get resourceful. Yes, if the plan worked out perfectly, the amount of money that you have is going to be enough to launch that business. If the plan worked out perfectly, the love that you get from your honey is going to be there all the time. But when the resources run out, you can't just shrivel up and die. You can't be the victim. You can't say the circumstances changed and they're not in my favor, and therefore I must give up and quit. When you run out of resources, this is when you have to become resourceful. I'll give you a great lesson in that. You ready for this? The year was probably 1981, 82. In 1980, my family and I escaped the Soviet Union. We came to the United States. We lived in Section 8 housing. We were poor. We were broke. We had no money. Like, we were destitute, right? Yeah, we were getting government assistance, but family of 5, me being the smallest, I was 6 years old in 1980. So by the time I'm now 7 or 8 years old, this happened in 1981 or 82, I got lice, because we're living in junky, shitty apartments, and I got lice. And my mom and dad, man, they're trying to save every penny. And so they're working their nuts off. They're working under the table. They were trying to still get our green cards. We came here legally, but it takes a while to get your green card. And so, yes, we're getting like food stamps and we're having Section 8 housing, but you still need money. And so, because it's never enough what they give you. And so with that said, I got lice. My mom was like, well, we can't afford to buy lice treatment from the drugstore. So she had my dad siphon out gasoline from a parked car. And she took me in this grassy area of the apartment complex, and she had me double over and close my eyes, and she washed my hair with gasoline to kill the lice. Like, in an absence of resources, the money to buy the lice treatment, my mom was like, you know what? Just told my dad, siphon out gasoline from a parked car. He like siphoned out half a cup of gasoline. She washed my hair with gasoline. Now, you might call that child abuse these days, because that's probably what this generation would do. But my mom called that love. And rest her soul, she's dead. She died a couple years ago from dementia, and Alzheimer's took her away. But thankfully, she died with her family around her, and I miss her. And just a side note, little side quest here: if you are If you are a child who's angry and upset at your parents, and you could be a child and you could be 30, 40, 50 years old, and your parents are still around and you're still angry at them, understand they did the best they could with what they had. They didn't get the therapy like you probably did. They wasn't a thing for them. And you could either hold resentment or grudge against them, or you can learn to forgive the best you can and spend time with them. Because if you don't, then you will have regret when they pass. And there's really nothing you can do about that. Thankfully, I figured that out early on through therapy, and I spent time reestablishing and rebuilding the relationship with my mom and dad in a way that I felt peace in my heart. So there you go. Just a side quest for you. But it is massively important to be resourceful, guys, because it is very rare that the resources always line up exactly in your favor. Thing number 2 is resiliency, right? The ability to bounce back, take a punch in the face, metaphorically, or sometimes literally, and not to just lay flat on your back, but to be able to get back up, bounce back ability. Resiliency, your ability to overcome the hardships, the setbacks, and to stand up when everyone else would stay laying down. That is a factory installed thing in winners. That doesn't mean that they were born with that factory installed thing. They developed the ability to factory install that in themselves, right? I feel like the old version of me is dead. The new version of me was born with resourcefulness and resiliency. And this third thing that I'm going to talk about, which is relentlessness. And it's because these are muscles that you can develop. Now I feel like it's in my DNA. Resourcefulness is in my DNA. Resiliency is in my DNA. Like, I could keep eating shit and keep going. I could keep going through hardship, physical, mental, emotional, financial, and keep going. It is through decades of self-development and training and constantly exposing myself to hard things, right? It is micro-dosing hardship that got me to where I am today, physically and financially. I'm 51 years old. I'm jacked. I'm in good shape. I'm in good health. I'm successful financially. I'm massively grateful for all of that. But man, if I list off the stories of failures and setbacks and shortcuts and people ripping me off and all these things, there's a million reasons for every successful people to have failed and never become the person that they become. But it's through resiliency and their ability to bounce back, push through, and figure out that they persevered. And that third thing, guys, is relentlessness. You know, Tim Grover wrote a great book, Relentless. Every single one of you should go out and get that book and read it. Great book, Relentless. And he talks about how the professional athletes that he's worked with, from Kobe Bryant to Michael Jordan to Dwayne Wade and many others, this relentless mindset that they have. And the relentless mindset is simply this, that you will not accept defeat, period. You will not accept failure. The closest I get is accepting something as temporary defeat. Very healthy, right? Very healthy. Something doesn't work out. Well, that was temporary defeat. We've done many promotions for Fit Body Bootcamp, for Fuel Hunt Apparel, for Truly Supplements, for my coaching business, you name it. My coaching clients, I've had them do many different promotions and campaigns, and that didn't work out. Does that mean that that was failure? No. I've taught them that we do not look at anything as failure. Failure only happens when something doesn't work out and then you give up and never try again. Failure doesn't happen to you. You fail when something doesn't work out and you choose not to continue on to find a solution. The relentless person says this is just temporary defeat. Temporary defeat. And that means I will get back up and fight again, fight harder, find a new resource, be resilient in the process, and relentlessly attack my goals even when my spouse doesn't believe in me, even when my family doesn't believe in me, even when the economy is against me, even when the competition just got funded $300 million, right? That is the relentless mindset of being able to laser focus in on the outcome and not on the setbacks, so that even when, despite everything stacked against you, you still relentlessly push forward. If I have air in my lungs, I will continue to push forward. And that mindset, guys, of being resourceful, resilient, and relentless is what will get you to have a beautiful life of great experiences and building businesses and seeing them scale and become massively profitable and really serving your family and the church and the charity that you love and you want to give to, and get yourself out of debt and have these awesome memories. So that when you die, because it is inevitable that we will all die, none of us have found a way to get around death. It is knocking on your door just like it is knocking on my door. And when death comes, will I experience regret on my deathbed because I chose to give up, quit, not look for resources, not continue to fight, and therefore became a bad example to my next generation coming up, to my kids? Or am I going to have peace in my heart on my deathbed because I knew that I put everything out there, that I reached my highest potential up to that point, and now I'm going to shut my eyes and off I go, right? And that's what we want, because at the end of the day, you're not just doing this for yourself. You're doing it for your family, for your kids. You're setting an example of either how to be a winner or how to be a cautionary tale. So I hope that you'll embrace those three things in your life, in every category of life, in your relationship, in your health, in your money, in your mindset, in your drive to find your purpose and calling. Be resourceful in the absence of resources. Be resilient and get back up when you get knocked down. And be relentless in your pursuit even when nobody believes in you and when the odds are stacked against you.